From NBC News, this is a special edition of Today. Katrina, 5 years later.
Welcome back to New Orleans on this morning, 5 years after Hurricane Katrina. As we've mentioned all show long, there's been a lot of progress in this city. People from near and far have chipped in to make sure that progress continues. One of those people is the former First Lady Laura Bush, and we're going to speak to Mrs. Bush in just a couple of minutes. But first, here's NBC's Kerry Sanders.
It's been a long journey, but 5 years later, in Mississippi, 6-year-old Tice has his own bedroom with a drum set. And in Louisiana, the Brister brothers have a home again as well.
This is the washing room where my mama wash clothes.
You help her sometimes?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
We first met the Brister family here on Today.
Hurricane winds toppled 4 huge trees right into her house, splitting it in 2.
It was all tears when Matt and basketball's Magic Johnson handed the family keys to a new Habitat for Humanity home, some of it built by volunteers right here on the plaza. The Bristers have a mortgage like all homeowners, just not as expensive.
Okay, a little mathematics. You are paying
$392
a month
a month.
for your house.
Yes.
And you say to yourself,
Wow. Great.
Habitat volunteers here are still helping folks recover.
Sometimes it just seems like yesterday, and it's hard to believe 5 years has passed.
Katrina left single mom Stephanie Jordan and her 2 children among Mississippi's new homeless.
I know without Habitat, I wouldn't be where I am today.
the statistics perhaps best tell the story. In the last 5 years, volunteers have used more than 49 million nails, more than 1 million 2x4s, more than 74,000 gallons of paint, building more than 2,200 homes. And in the process, during this down economy, Habitat for Humanity has become the largest home builder in the South.
The 5th anniversary gives us an opportunity just to pause for a second and celebrate the fact that more than 2,000 families are now in new homes.
5-year anniversary.
Awesome.
Awesome. Because
we're
together.
Owning a home, a value best known to those who lost everything. For Today, Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Waveland, Mississippi.
Former First Lady Laura Bush and her husband, the former president, joined us for a Habitat for Humanity build here in this area in the days following Hurricane Katrina. And Mrs. Bush has come back on many occasions since then. Laura Bush, good morning. It's nice to see you.
Good morning, Matt.
I was you have something like 20 trips to this region in the last 5 years. Obviously, some of those trips came during your responsibilities as First Lady, but you've continued to come. Why the connection?
That's right. I just have a really strong feeling about the Gulf Coast. I'm from a Gulf Coast state, as you know, and New Orleans was certainly a place that I came with my parents on vacations, but I wanted to keep coming. I came to Mardi Gras this year,
right?
Which was really fun. I'd been to Mardi Gras before. George and I brought our girls here one year when they were about 9, but this time I went to the Mardi Gras balls, and that was a lot of fun.
You've continued to work with libraries. We've talked about that a lot of times on our program. You feel they are so important to communities and schools. Can you just explain to people why you think when communities have been devastated and schools have been devastated, getting a library back up and running is such a vital step?
Well, it's really important, and for all of these schools, all the way across the Gulf Coast, they lost everything, and children lost their own personal books, if they really even had any to start with. So it's very important for schools to have good libraries that both support their student body and support the curriculum that they teach. And I have a foundation that I already had before Katrina that gives money to school libraries across the United States. And so after the hurricanes, we raised more money, and we've given over $5.5 million in 126 grants, big grants, $50,000 to $150,000 to schools as they've rebuilt, so they can restock their whole library.
There's no easy way to ask this question. I'm just going to ask it. Is it ever painful for you to come back to this region because in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, it seems so much of the blame for what happened or didn't happen here was laid at the feet of your husband?
No, not really. I mean, I feel very close to the people on the Gulf Coast and always have. And I know what the circumstances were. And of course, the president takes the blame in any situation, as we can see now with the new president. But I also knew what George really thought and how he felt about the Gulf Coast. We gave unprecedented support. The United States Congress passed large bills, I think $180 billion that George signed, and has come to the Gulf Coast. And what we've seen is really so inspirational. The people here, the school people, are the ones that I've been with the most, and they came back when they were in FEMA trailers or living with relatives and did everything they could to rebuild their schools so kids could come back.
I know the people of the region are thankful for the work you and your foundation are doing here. Mrs. Bush, thanks for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
We're going to have much more ahead from New York and